Have you ever felt like your life is just passing by? Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and suddenly, years are gone. We keep saying, one day I'll do something great. But that one day never seems to come. Most people wake up, go to work, scroll through their phones, and repeat the same routine again and again, without ever asking, am I really living or just existing? We wait for the perfect time, the perfect moment to start, to change, to chase our dreams. But that moment never comes because life doesn't wait. It keeps moving forward whether we do something or not. What if I told you that a single story could open your eyes and make you see life differently? A story that might shake you, make you think deeply, and remind you of the truth we often forget. Time is running, and we can't afford to waste it. There was once a young man named Arin. He was full of energy, dreams, and laughter. But like many people, he believed he had all the time in the world. Each morning he woke up late, spent hours scrolling on his phone, meeting friends, watching shows, and talking about what he would one day achieve. He often said, I'll start tomorrow. I still have time. But tomorrow kept moving further away. Arin laughed a lot, but deep inside he felt a strange emptiness, a quiet voice that whispered, is this all there is? He ignored it, telling himself that life would somehow fix itself, that success and purpose would come naturally when the right time arrived. Days turned into months, and months into years. Arin was still in the same place, doing the same things, waiting for a miracle. He didn't realize that while he was wasting his time, life was quietly slipping away moment by moment. To him, the future looked endless. But time has a way of reminding us that it's not. He didn't know it yet, but something was about to happen, something that would change the way he saw everything. Because one ordinary afternoon, in the most unexpected way, Arin's life was about to be shaken to its core. One quiet evening, Arin went for a walk in the park. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of gold and red. As he passed a lonely bench, he noticed an old man sitting there, watching the world go by with calm, thoughtful eyes. Without knowing why, Arin sat down beside him. For a while, neither of them spoke. Then the old man turned and asked softly, Son, what are you doing with your life? Arin smiled awkwardly. Just living, I guess, he said, trying to sound confident. The old man nodded slowly. That's what most people think, he said. But tell me, are you living or just passing time? Arin had no answer. He laughed nervously, but the old man continued, his voice steady and calm. Let me tell you a story, he said. Once there was a man who owned a beautiful clock. One day the clock stopped ticking. He kept telling himself he would fix it tomorrow, but days passed and he never did. One morning, he found the clock covered in dust, too damaged to repair. That's when he realized it wasn't the clock that had stopped, it was him. His time was gone. The words struck Arin like thunder. For the first time in his life, he felt a deep silence inside, not empty, but awakening. Something in him had shifted. He didn't understand it yet, but he knew one thing. He couldn't go on living the same way anymore. That night, Arin couldn't sleep. The old man's story echoed in his mind like a clock ticking in the dark. Every second felt heavier than before. He stared at the ceiling and whispered to himself, what have I been doing all this time? He realized every wasted hour was a piece of his life he could never get back. All those nights spent on meaningless things. All those dreams he kept for later, they were gone. Just like the time that carried them away. For the first time, he felt the true weight of wasted time, not just in his mind, but in his heart. It wasn't regret that hurt him the most. It was the understanding that life doesn't pause for anyone, he thought. The scariest truth about time is that it never stops. Even when you do, in that moment, guilt turned into awareness. Fear turned into clarity. Arin understood that waiting was the real enemy, not failure. That night, something inside him changed. He sat up, took a deep breath, and made a promise to himself, not tomorrow, not next week, but now. Because he finally understood that later is just another name for never. The next morning, Arin woke up before the sun. It felt strange at first, quiet still, unfamiliar. But deep inside, he knew something was different. He didn't want to waste another day. He started small. He cleaned his room. He read a few pages of a book he had bought months ago but never opened. He helped his mother without being asked. He made a list of things he wanted to learn, not grand goals, just small steps. Each little action gave him a sense of direction, a quiet strength. For the first time, he went to bed feeling proud, not empty. He didn't change overnight, but he changed every night, one choice at a time. Each morning, he became a little more focused, a little more grateful, a little more alive. Progress was slow, sometimes invisible, but it was real. He began to understand that growth doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels like sunrise, gentle but unstoppable. Arin's days no longer blurred together. Every moment had purpose. Every effort built the next. And like Arin, many great people started from nothing, one simple decision at a time. They weren't born ready. They built themselves slowly, through the power of small, consistent steps. Arin finally realized that success is not a destination, it's a direction. And every step, no matter how small, was a victory against the time he once wasted. Arin's small steps reminded him of people who once stood at the same crossroads, unsure, afraid but determined to move forward. He thought of J.K. Rowling, who sat in cold cafes, writing her stories after being rejected by publishers again and again. She had almost nothing, no fame, no comfort, but she kept writing. She didn't waste her pain. She turned it into power. He remembered Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 long years in prison. Most people would have given up, but not him. Even behind bars, he refused to waste his hope. He used every moment to prepare for the day he'd walk free. And when he did, he changed the course of history. And then Steve Jobs, who was fired from the very company he created. Instead of quitting, he started again in a small garage, turning failure into fuel for one of the greatest comebacks in history. Each of them proved something powerful. It's not about how much time you lose, but how much meaning you give to the time you still have. Like Arin, they discovered that life's turning point often begins with a single decision, not to waste another moment. Most people don't lose life in a single moment. They lose it in small pieces, day by day. Every hour wasted, every dream delayed, every "I'll do it tomorrow" quietly takes something from us. Life is a candle. Every moment burns a part of it. You can't stop the flame from melting away, but you can choose what light it gives before it's gone. Arin's story reminds us that time is the most precious thing we have. You can rebuild your career, your strength, even your confidence, but you can never rebuild lost time. You can't control how long you live, but you can control how deeply you live. So don't wait for someday. Don't wait for perfect. Act now, even if it's small. Because every step you take today is a step away from regret and a step closer to meaning. Years passed, and Arin was no longer the careless young man he once was. He wasn't the richest or the most famous, but he was fulfilled. Every morning, he woke with purpose, and every night he slept with peace. He didn't wait for life to hand him meaning, he created it. Looking back, he realized the old man's story had saved him. It wasn't just about a clock. It was about time, his time, and how he chose to use it. Now let me ask you the same question the old man once asked Arin. What are you doing with your life? Your time is ticking too. Don't waste it waiting for the perfect day, the perfect chance, or the perfect plan. Make today the start of your real life, because the truth is life doesn't wait for anyone.